Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vākprānaśchakṣuśrotramato Balamindriyāni ca sarvāni Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarod Anirakarnamastva Nirakarnam me astu Tadatmani nirate Yopanishatsu dharmaste mai santu te mai santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Essay number 19 on the page 6. Prano va ashayaha bhuyan yatha va aranabhau samarpitaha evam asmin prane sarvam samarpitam pranah pranena yati pranah pranam dadati pranaya dadati prano hapita prano mata prano bhrata pranasvasa प्राण आचार्य है प्राणो ब्राह्मण है प्राणो वा आशाया भूयान. Prana is superior to asha. So now the glories of prana are being sung here. Each one was mentioned in one passage earlier, but here are two passages. Here we find more than two passages. Yathava ara nabhau samarpitaha. Just as the spokes are fixed into the hub of a wheel, evam asmin prane sarvam samarpitam. In a manner similar to that, asmin prane, in this prana, sarvam samarpitam, everything is fixed. Everything is fixed, meaning that everything is connected to prana. Just as the spokes gain their motion from the hub, and so also everything gains its motion from prana. Because prana is the kriya shakti, therefore the example of a chariot wheel is given, because the wheel is moving and its hub that provides that movement. So the whole universe is moving, is active, is dynamic, and there is something that provides that movement, dynamism to the whole universe, and that is called prana, the vital energy. The word prana is used for the individual prana also, as well as for the cosmic prana. So here when it said everything is fixed in prana, so it's talking about the whole universe, that everything in the universe ultimately finds its source of motion from prana. So this we saw how रसनाभौ समर्पिताः संप्रोक्ताः एवं अस्मिन् लिंग संघा प्राणे प्रज्ञात्मनि. So we saw how the Bhashyakara quoted here the passage from the Chhandogyopanishad. तद्यथा रसस्य अरेषु नेमिः अर्पितः नाभो अराः अर्पिताः एवं एताः भूतमात्राः प्रज्ञामात्रासु अर्पिताः प्रज्ञामात्राः प्राणे अर्पिताः एताः भूतमात्राः प्रज्ञामात्रासु अर्पिताः. This bhutamatraः, all these objects, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, which are the modification of 5 bhutas and elements. Prajna matra swarpitaha. All of these are dependent upon, they are illumined by the prajna matraha, by the corresponding organs of perception. Like the sounds are illumined, they are grasped by, illumined by the organ of hearing, and similarly, the objects are illumined by, grasped by the corresponding organ of perception. And thus the existence of an object becomes evident only when it is illumined by the corresponding organ of perception. The color and form is only when the color and form is illumined by the eyes. That these words are gets established only when they are illumined by the organ of hearing. In case it does not, the words are as good as not there. So these words, in order for them to be there, depend upon the organ of hearing. This is called prajna matra, prajna, because that is what the prajna, the knowledge is. So these objects of experience are dependent upon being illumined by the prajna, or the knowledge, in the form of the organs of perception. Because these organs of perceptions, they are called jnanendriyani, they are called the organs of knowledge. Call it knowledge, call it prajna. But this prajna matraha, the organs of perception in turn, derive their life, the ability to function, that they are alive and therefore they are functioning, and that what is the source of the life for this is the prana. Therefore, prajna matraha prane arpitaha. This prajna matraha, these fractions of prajna, of the knowledge, namely the organs of perception, are arpitaha. They are dependent upon the prana, or the vital force. So thus we saw this in the morning. So that's how everything is ultimately, the whole universe of names and forms depends upon the organs of perception, which in turn depend on the prana, and thus the whole universe depends upon prana. Derives its energy, its life, its dynamism from prana. Thus prana runs the wheel of the whole universe. Then the passage said, Prana pranena yati, prana pranena dadati. Now, everything moves because of prana. The prana moves because of what? If one thing moves because of the other, and the rim moves because of the spokes, and the spokes move because of the hub, and thus everything moves because of prana, so next question is, what is it that moves prana? So says here, this is the question that Shruti answers. Prana pranena yati. The prana moves because of prana. Sesha prana apartantra. Everything else is paratantra. Everything else, all the objects, all the sense organs, all of these are paratantra, meaning they are all dependent for their life, for their movement, for their functioning. What about prana? Prana is aparatantra. It is independent, meaning that prana does not depend upon anything for its movement. Prana, pranayati, the prana moves by itself. Therefore, the passage says, prana pranam dadati. So, prana pranam dadati. In that sentence, the kartru is what? Prana. What is karma? Pranam. So, karta also is prana, karma also is prana. Then pranaya dadati, pranam dadati, pranaya dadati. Prana is the fourth case, sampradana chaturthi. So karta also is prana, karanam also is prana, sampradana also is prana. So in the technical language, all these karakas, meaning we said earlier that an action can be performed when all the various accessories are present. Even the act of speech also can be performed, number one, when there is a speaker, in this case the Swami. But that is not enough. He requires what? The organ of speech, the karanam, that is called karanam. And that utters the words which is called karma. And that is done for a purpose, namely you, that's the purpose. When all these factors are present, then only an action takes place. So an action, any kind of an action requires all these accessories, ingredients, called karaka in Sanskrit. But the Upanishad says, prana pranam dadati. Prana gives prana. So giver also is prana, the subject or the karta. Pranam dadati, he gives also prana, the object also is prana. Pranaya dadati, for the benefit of prana, so the one for whom it is done also is prana. So here the giver is prana. What he gives also is himself. The one who he gives also is himself. And by himself he gives. So karta also is prana. Karma also is prana. Karanam also is prana. And sampradana also is prana. Means all the karakas are prana, you follow? So this is how the glory of prana is revealed here by the Upanishad. That prana does not require anything other than itself. To carry out, everything else requires prana to carry out what it does. But prana is independent, does not require anything other than itself to carry out the whole thing. Therefore, karta also is prana. Karta also is prana. Karma also is prana. Karanam also is prana. Sarvam kriya karaka phaladej bhaidajatam prana eva. So this whole universe consisting of the action, the result of the action, the accessories of action, all of this is prana itself. The pranad bhairabhutam astiti. There is nothing in the universe that is outside the scope of prana. You are prana, I am prana, the walls are prana, ashram is prana, Ganges is prana, Himalayas are prana, earth is prana, heaven is prana, intermediate world is prana. Whatever you can think of is prana. This is all objects. So karma is prana, the karta also is prana, the karanam also is prana. Then what remains? If you think of everything, will fall in the category of the karta or karma or karanam or sampradaya. So other than there is nothing in the universe. Think about it. For me, the whole universe is karma. I am the subject, everything is object. I communicate with a karanam, with a means. And there is a result for which it is done. That is also prana. So, between these, the whole universe is included. So, if prana is the karta, karma, karanam, sampradanam, and then what else? Nothing remains. Therefore, the whole universe is nothing but prana. That is what the Upanishad wants to say. Then further, प्राणो पिता प्राणो माता प्राणो भ्राता प्राण ससा प्राण आचार्य प्राणो ब्राह्मण. Everything is prana. Therefore, Pita also is prana, father also is prana, mother also is prana, brother also is prana, sister also is prana, the acharya also is prana, Brahman also is prana. Katham pitradi shabdanam prasiddharthotsargena prana. How do you say? Father is father. Why do you call him? Why do you say father is prana? Pitradi shabdanam prasiddhartha utsargena. Father is something well known, mother is mother, brother is brother, sister is sister. So prana is father, prana is mother, prana is brother, prana is sister, prana is brahmana, prana is... How do you say that? Because Sayadi, Pitaram va, Mataram, Bhrataram va, Swasaram va, Acharyam va, all these people, Kintit Bhishma Pratyaha, Pita is Pita, Mata is Mata, Acharya is Acharya, Brahman is Brahman, and you are supposed to conduct in a certain proper way, you are supposed to, behave properly before them, greet them in a proper manner, address them in a proper manner, speak properly in their presence. Is it not so? And if you do it otherwise, Bhrushame Pratyaha, if I say something which is unbecoming of a disciple, unbecoming of a son, unbecoming of a brother, unbecoming of a sister, so father also behaves in a becoming manner, mother also behaves in before father you behave in a certain manner, before mother, in those days anyway. These days, hi dad, hi mom. This poor grandmother is in the bed and she has fever and this little is going, bye bye. She is suffering from fever, she needs attention. Bye bye. I'm going to do gym. And so, we may find it difficult to understand what this is. But even we were brought up that way, that before elders, before father, mother I can't say, but mother you take for granted more than father. You take more liberty with mother. Including after I became a Swami also, Then I realized, what am I doing? How can I talk like this with my mother? Mom says, come for Bhiksha. No, I won't come. I behave like a son rather than as a Swami, So I noticed how I was behaving. And then I corrected, I checked myself. There is always a way of conducting oneself in presence of others, and particularly elders. So to father, you address them in a certain respectful manner, mother of course, and acharya particularly, and brahmana, and brother, sister. If you don't do that, bhrushama pratyaha, if you say something which is unbecoming of you, hey you, no, you can't say this to a father. Hey you can't say this to acharya. So even brother, sister also cannot be addressed in that manner, that alone father and mother and acharya. If you do that, if somebody watches you behaving in that manner, dhiktva stuvete, fire upon you, that fellow will say, hey, this is not right. And this is how he will tell me. Iti evam ahuhu. Pitruhavai, you are a killer of your father. Meaning that the insulting is as good as killing. This insulting in public is as good as killing. And so this Arjuna had taken a vow that whoever abuses my Gandiva, I'll kill him. I mean, what kind of vows they used to take? But anyway, that's what he did. Thoughtlessly. But anyway, by this evening I'll kill Jayadrasa. You before you say that, you don't think. Anyways, that's what Arjuna said. And it just happened that under certain circumstances, when Yudhishthira apparently said something which was insulting to Gandiva, and Arjuna said, this is my vow. His vow is more important than Yudhishthira apparently. Thank God Lord Krishna was around. Said Arjuna, insulting a revered person in public also is as good as killing. So you abuse him in front of others. So then you killed Yudhishthira and then your vow will be fulfilled. The idea is that if you insult somebody, if you say insulting words to somebody who is revered or reverential, is as good as killing. Somebody say, Pitruha, hey, you are a killer of a father. Matruha tvamasi, you are the killer of a mother, because you are talking in this unbecoming manner, insulting manner. So that is called father, mother. So how do you say that father and mother, all of this is prana? So next passage then says, Atha yadyapi enan utkaranta pranan. But if father has passed away, then what do? You take him to the cremation ground, put him on this, and you may not have seen how the cremation takes place. But then you have to do all kinds of things. You take a stick or a bamboo and you have to arrange the wood things properly, and you push things, and if that body doesn't, then push the body. All kinds of things are done. What? To that body who was father when alive, and now you are treating that entity in a manner which is most unbecoming, and still they don't condemn you. If you said a word to your father when he was alive, you will be condemned. But now that he has departed, and you are treating this much worse manner to the body of the father, and still they don't condemn you. Why? What's the difference? Earlier you could not utter an improper word, and now you are treating it like this. Because Utkanta prana, because the prana has utkranta, prana has gone. Then nobody says you are a pitruha, hey, you are a killer of a father, a killer of a mother. Because there is no more father. no more mother. How was that person father as long as prana was there? How long was that person mother as long as prana was there? Once prana is departed, it just becomes a body, dead body. So what's the difference? Anvaya Vyatireka. When prana was there, he was a revered person, and now prana is not there, you treat him like wood. So what is that is called father? Prana is called father. Is it not so? When prana is there, that person is father. Prana is not there, it is wood. I mean, I shouldn't utter these words, but that's how people treat. Therefore, it was said in this passage, Prano Pita, Prano Mata, Prano Bhrata, Prana Swasa, Prana Acharya, Prano Brahmana. What is Pita, Mata, Bhrata, Swasa, the sister, Acharya, the teacher, Brahmana? It is Prana that is called father, mother. Is it not so? It's not the body that is called so, because body is intact, it is still there. And still it is not treated as father, mother, etc. Therefore Upanishad says, it is prana that is father, prana that is mother, prana that is acharya, prana that is brahmana. Is prana that is everything? Prana is the self of all. Prana is the self of what you call father and mother and brother and sister and acharya and brahmana and X, Y, Z. See, this is the rustic way, simple, practical way of demonstrating how prana is the self of all. Throughout Chhandogyopanishad, these kind of simple day-to-day examples are given. That's why I use the word rustic, like village. That kind of examples are given to make a point that is very profound. So very profound is communicated through very simple day-to-day examples. Therefore, the next passage says, 28th passage, Prano hyevetani sarvani bhavati Sava esha evam pashyan evam manvanaha evam vijanan Ativadi bhavati tam ched bruyuhu Ativadi asi iti Ativadi asmiti bruyat napahnu vita Prano hi eva etani sarvani bhavati. So etani sarvani Pitradini sarvana. So father, mother, brother, sister, acharya, brahmana, and then kita, patanga, they are also included, is not so? What is called an ant, what is called an insect, what is called an animal? How long thing can be called ant or animal? Or what? As long as prana is there? So what you call a cow? If there is a picture of cow, you don't call it cow. If there is a wooden cow, you don't call it cow. If there is prana, then you call it cow. Is it not so? What is the difference between a clay elephant and regular elephant? Prana. So it's most amazing how whatever we call anything, any living being is so called because of prana. Or prana alone is so called, is it not so? Prana eva etani sarvani bhavati. The prana, vital force itself, indeed becomes all of these. So this is presented to us first to see how prana, the vital force, is the self of all, is all pervasive. it is self-evolved, meaning that what is because of prana. So what is prana? Is it not so? Father is father because of prana. Mother is mother because of prana. That means prana is father, prana is mother, prana is brother, prana is sister, prana is cow, prana is buffalo, prana is horse, prana is ant, a wild animal, ferocious animal, whatever it is, prana. Prana etani sarvani bhavati. Prana alone is all of this. So this is the vision that is imparted to Sage Narada. And he says Narada is serious. Whatever is told, he in fact actualizes it, realizes it. Savayash evam pashyan, evam manvana, evam vijanan. So when Upadesha is given in this manner, आत्मावर द्रष्टव्य है, श्रोतव्य है, मंतव्य है, निधिध्यासितव्य है, मैत्रेयी. So द्रष्टव्य है. So it says here, एवं पश्यन्, एवं मनवानः, एवं विजानन्. So darshanam, shravanam, mananam, vijnanam. That because, as we said earlier, this is how any kind of knowledge or understanding takes place. First is Shravanam. So you hear somebody say something, and then these processes go on in our mind. Shravanam takes place, you say something to the Swami, or I am saying these words or these statements, sentences, and you understand the meaning. So then Shravanam takes place, and then your mind thinks, what is it that Swami is saying? So, Pashyan Manvanaha. The Mananam takes place, meaning that the meaning of these words is understood. When your mind applies a reasoning, it's not just the word meaning, but also what is intended to be conveyed by these words. What is the intended meaning? Vivaksha. So sometimes the words mean what they say, sometimes the word may mean something more than what they say. And that is what the listener understands from what the speaker says. Oh, this is what Swami meant. So after Shravanam, Mananam takes place. The logical process takes place to logically understand what is said. And then Vijnanam, then understanding takes place as a result of that logical process of reflection, subjecting what I am told to the logical process of reasoning. And then I arrive at understanding this is what Swami said. We may not be aware of this process going on in our mind, but unless this goes on, we cannot understand what we are told. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes the mind is not working. The reasoning process doesn't take place. Then words simply remain words. The meaning is not understood. So Shravanam, Mananam, Vijnanam, this is the process that always takes place when we are listening to something. It should take place before we speak something also. In the mind of speaker also, these steps do take place. What is to be conveyed, that Vijnanam, how to convey then the reasoning, Mananam, and then speaking. The process is reversed there. But all along, we understand things when our intellect understands it And the way intellect understands is always by reasoning. Because to reason is the nature of the intellect, human intellect. Therefore says here, Pashyan evam manvanaha evam vijanan. So thus someone like says Narada, who sees this, then manvanaha, reflecting upon that, evam vijanan, and that's how he comes to realize that. Realize means understand the meaning of what is said. He sees the universe in front of him. How the universe, what is universe? Nothing but prana. So you apply your mind based on what is said earlier. So what I see here are the different human beings, different beings. Even it includes sentient, insentient, everything is prana. Although Pita, Mata, etc., the living beings are said to be prana, but we saw how the whole Kriya, Karaka, Phala, Jatam, all actions, accessories required to perform an action, the result of the action, all of this is prana. So the whole universe is nothing but prana. Universe includes sentient, insentient things. So where is prana in this one here? I can understand this prana in a living being, but is there prana in the insentient beings? That's called prana which imparts sentiency. How do you say that the whole universe, sentient, insentient, is all prana? No, prana can't be called sarvatma unless it is atma of sarva, and sarva includes sentient and insentient all. Understand that from prana will graduate to Brahman. But every step we are shown how that entity like Nama is Sarvatma, and Vak is Sarvatma, and Mana is Sarvatma, Sankalpa is Sarvatma. Therefore, Manaha, so Brahma iti upasita, meditate upon Manas as Brahman, as Sarvatma. So similarly here also now we have graduated up to prana. Recognize that sentient, insentient, because everything ultimately is manifestation of energy. That science will tell us. All of these what we call insentient things are nothing but the waves of energy, is it not so? Energy, primal energy is prana. So prana alone manifests. Now this is very easy for us to understand today. When the scientist tells us that what is manifestation, the matter is the manifestation of energy. Matter is the waves of energy. And formerly they thought that organic matter and inorganic matter had different, sources or different molecules, atoms. It's all the same. Organic, inorganic matter, everything has its same source. The same energy, which we call Prakriti, or which is called prana here. So now we have come as far as science has reached, by the way. When a scientist says that what is his energy, he knows, he means that. And he will give you all kinds of equations to tell you how everything is energy. What's the equation? Huh? What is equal to mc square? E equal to mc square, yeah. So everything is E, or energy. So now at least we know it in words, if nothing else. It may not have become a reality for us, but it is supposed to. Even for us also to understand the consciousness as a self of all. First, here it is said how energy is everything. It's called prana, the vital force. And everything includes the sentient as well as insentient. Prana manifests as the sentient entities, prana manifests as insentient entities. Pashyan. That's how says Narada sees. Having seen then, Manvanaha, he works out, reflects upon what he sees, and comes to understand that what he sees is what it means now. Vijanan, and that becomes now his immediate knowledge, pratyaksha jnanam, realization if you want to call it. So this is how when the teaching is imparted by the teacher, that's the kind of process that should take place in the mind of the disciple for the Shishya to understand exactly what the teacher is saying. And it is not that, say, Sanat Kumara said in one sentence, he is built up to these things. Say, Narada was trained, See, Nama is everything. Yeah, that is easy. What all is Nama is all words, that's easy. From beginning from there, which is easy, which is understandable, which is evident to him, how do you say Nama is everything? I say, Swamiji, that all Rupa is nothing but Nama. So therefore Nama is the self of all the Rupa. And Rupa is sentient, insentient, everything. So Rama is all pervasive, self of all is Brahman. Once that, when this particular process is understood, then the Nama is replaced by Manaha, that's further replaced by Sankalpaha, further replaced by Chittam. So when you see Nama is the self of all, recognize that Nama is nothing but Mana. That Mana has transformed itself into Nama. I see. When you see that, then you are further told that it is Sankalpa that has transformed itself as Mana. Yes, I see. Then you find out further that Chittam that has transformed itself as Sankalpa. Yes, I see. And that's what says Narada says anyway. So here we see a process of evolution, of self-growth, of knowledge or realization if you want to say, how the teacher leads the student. That's why he said from Tvam Pada to Tat Pada. In the 6th chapter, he started with Sat Tat Pada and then shown how that Sat degenerate or devolve into all these names and forms and ultimately was nothing but the self of all that, nothing but Atma. So Tat is Tvam. You start with the Tvam Pada because Nama, Manaha, all of these are my upadhis. And that is now we have come up to prana, energy. Evam Pashyan, Evam Manvanaha, Evam Vijanan. So now a disciple such as Sage Narada now sees everything as prana, not in one stroke. As Nama, Mana, in this process now he sees everything as prana. So now in the perception of Sage Narada, what is prana? Is it not so? For example, in the perception of a goldsmith, all these names and forms, nothing but gold. So what is this? He says gold. Hey, this is a bangle. It's gold. Is it so or not? Is it bangle or is it gold? For one standpoint is a bangle, but bangle is something incidental of this, isn't it? Because it comes and goes, it may not retain this form, and therefore it may not be called Bengal if we twist it, turn it, break it, melt it. But the fact that it is gold will not be negated, isn't it? So Bengal is incidental, gold is essential. So if somebody says this is gold, you can't question that person. And then if you practice that this is gold and then this is gold and this is gold and so on and so forth, if this is practiced long enough that now when you look at this, maybe some part of your mind may note that this is Bengal, but your buddhi now knows that this is gold, because that is how you practice seeing this thing. Not that you made believe it is so. But that requires a teacher to realize that, hey, this is gold. Look at this properly. Yes, it is gold. Above gold, below gold, inside, etc., etc. So when this mind is trained that way, then all the ornaments you see, hey, what is this gold? Because now his mind only sees it, and that's how the mind is trained. So now the mind of sage prana is trained. What is this prana? Sage Narada, what is this prana? What is that prana? What is that? He sees what? He just sees prana. Is it not so? Is it possible? A goldsmith can see all these things as gold because that's the Atma of these entities. So thus now we see that prana is the Atma of everything, you and I and chair and table and wall and good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is. Because good, bad, indifferent are the incidental entities, are all the forms and names and upadhis. But what each upadhi reveals is something that is essential, that is prana, which is the truth. So it is possible. If you practice long enough, then when you know mithya is mithya, incident is incidental, then we will know essential is essential. You see a beggar also, then you see a king also, then you see a minister also, then you see. In the beginning I thought they were all different. But then somebody says, Swami, look at the eyes. There are experts who can identify people from their eyes. All they need is pair of eyes. I may need many more things perhaps to identify somebody, but there are experts. Particularly boys could identify just pairs of eyes in the colleges, in the, what is it called? They use pair of eyes. And they're expert. They will say, this is so and so, that is so and so, this is so and so. And at the male pair of eyes, other people will identify. The female pair of eyes are identified by the boys, and male pair of eyes are identified by the girls. What do you pay attention to at that age? So when you are an expert, then you don't need much more than what is essential. Eyes are essential. Regardless of how this fellow dresses up, he cannot conceal his eyes. Is it not so? That's called lakshanam. There is something that is undeniable. Everything else can be denied. His beard is there, all sorts of stuff is there. But eyes cannot be changed and cannot be covered. This is lakshanam. Asti bhati priyam. Here is prana. So thus when you are trained to see the lakshanam, then he comes as a beggar. I know, this is Amitabh Bachchan. Then comes as a power of Amitabh Bachchan. Little one, big one, in whichever way he comes, because I am an expert now. And so prana can come anyway now, because I have known prana, and known as myself as a matter of fact. So in whichever way form prana comes, now I am no more confused, no more thrown off. I am very clear. This is prana. I am prana. I am this. As prana, I am everything. So now, person who has gained this wisdom, this level of wisdom, he sees nothing but prana. Is it not so? So chair is prana, table prana, wall prana, human being prana, animal prana. He only says prana there. He says prana. What do you mean prana? This is a human being. This is a chair. How do you call it prana? That's what I see. And so, ativadi bhavati atitya vaditum shiram. So one whose nature it is now to transcend. Just as you see that actor's eyes, to transcend his costume. It's called transcending. What you see is a beggar and you recognize what? Amitabh Bachchan. So you have transcended the beggar. And see what is really there. You transcended what is apparent, the costume, the incidental, and see what is essential. So this is how Sage Narada now has trained his mind to see what is. It's not that it's a make-believe stuff. So someone like that Sage Narada, who has realized prana is the self and self of all, he only says prana, hey prana, yes prana. What do you mean prana? Hey, this is your mother. So ativadi bhavati. Knowing he transcends all in his, this is called ativadi, one who transcends in vadanam, in speech. Because he transcends everything in his perception. He perceives not these mundane names and forms, but each one of these names and forms he perceives prana. How? The way we were shown. Not only that, but he perceives himself as prana, and never sees himself as all. And if he has trained his mind sufficiently, if I trained my mind sufficiently to recognize my favorite actor, then regardless of what costume he comes into, I even overlook the costume. I overlook that beggar. Hey, how is this beggar? Oh, no, he's a millionaire. So when I call him millionaire, I mean, I'm transcending the beggar. It's called ativadi bhavati. You transcend. You ignore what is evident. Yes, because I see what is not evident to others. You follow what I'm saying? Ativadanam. You see a beggar, he says, no, this is a billionaire. You see a renunciate, no, this is a billionaire. You see the same actor? So when you see this actor in a beggar, then you transcended the beggar and otherwise you can't see the actor. You identify that actor, let us say, by essential features, like nose also essential. You can't cover nose. You can't cover eyes. Regardless of whatever it is, how many beards and things like that, but some essential features will remain. And if you are a knowledgeable, wise person, which my nephew was and I wasn't, he took me for a movie and I say, hey, look at this bag. Swami is not beggar. He's such and such actor. That means he transcends what appears on the stage or on the screen and sees something that is beyond that, which is there, but which ordinary person misses, an ignorant person misses. So now, Sage Narada has reached a point where he sees prana as a self and self of all, and therefore all he sees is prana. So all he talks is prana. All he hears is prana. He only dwells and lives in the world of prana. Because that's all there is in his perception. So, ativadi bhavati. He's called ativadi. Atitya vaditum shiram. One whose now habit has become to say things, to see what transcends. To say means to see actually. He might call it a dog and a cat as far as Vyavahara is concerned. He doesn't see it, he sees only prana. And if he is crazy enough, he may say prana, he may say that because you are in your own, world. For gopis, what they saw only Krishna, Krishna, that's all. So you see a dark cloud, Krishna. A kadamba tree, dark, Krishna. A black cow, Krishna. Krishna means black. So they were crazy, you would think so. So I think wise person becomes crazy. Because he doesn't seem to be like you and I. He sees something that is not within our range of perception. Ativadi bhavati. Tam ched bruyu ativadi asi. Hey, you are ativadi. Don't you realize that what you are saying is not so? You are transcending. So you don't see name. You are not seeing name and form. You see only prana. So what we see is nama. But then nama, then he saw mana. Then from mana he saw sankalpa. From that he saw chittam, etc., etc. And that way now he sees prana. So prana alone is asha. The prana is asha alone is smaraha. And thus at all stages now he realizes. Formerly everything was nama. Then everything was manaha. Then everything vak. And then manaha. And then sankalpa. And everything is prana. And therefore, now what he sees is prana. So somebody says, hey, you seem to be in your own world, you are transcending. He says, yes, I am. You are transcending limits in your speech. Hey, you are calling this Bhagavan. Where is Bhagavan? He sits and says, Bhagavan, how are you? Where is Bhagavan? Call this fellow Bhagavan? Says, you seem to be ignoring the realities. Yes, I do. Meaning don't have any hesitation. Accept it and own it up. Because you are right there, own up your vision. He need not hide. No, vita. He need not hide. I'm sorry, I did not mean that. No. You said what you meant. So that you can own up now. So this is a way of saying how a wise person sees. So then the story continues. Sesha Narada Sarvatisham Pranam Swaatmanam Shutva. So this is how said Narada now, the Sant Kumara said that what is this prana is the self of all. Do you remember the conversation going on so far? Asti Bhagavah Ashayah Bhuyah Asti Bhagavah Smarasya Bhuyah. So we expect in Asti Bhagavah Pranasya Bhuyah iti. Is there something greater than prana? That would be a natural question, is it not so? That question did not forthcome. Sarva pranam swaatmanam shrutva natah param asti iti. So Narada now thought that he knows everything. He knows the ultimate reality. Because this question did not come. Asti Bhagava Pranasya Bhuya iti. So every time this was almost a mechanical thing, is it? Every time he used to say this. Asti Bhagava Smarasya Bhuya iti. Asti Bhagava Ashayaha Bhuya iti. At every stage he asked, Oh Venerable Sir, is there something superior to Smara, memory? Something superior to Asha? So you would expect now, say Narada, to ask question, is there something superior to prana? He didn't say. Why? Why do you think sage Narada did not ask this question? Because you don't find that question. So far he kept on asking questions, is there something superior, something better, something better? But this time Sage Narada did not ask that question. Why do you think that may be so? Yes? He thinks that now he does not ask, is there something beyond prana, because he thinks prana is beyond everything. Because he was told that if you see and say everything is prana, you are transcending everything. So he naturally thinks now that prana is the transcendental, or that is that transcends everything. He is satisfied. There is now nothing more to know, and therefore he does not ask the question, is there something now better, more to know? So this is how then the next sentence comes, we'll continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya